Hello, my name is Beth Bauer and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the American Red Cross Capital Area Chapter. And on behalf of my staff and volunteers, I'd like to thank you for joining us in our inaugural production of Meet the Red Cross. Today we have with us Gabe Hulsey, the President of the Board. Welcome, Gabe.
Thank you.
How did you first get involved with the American Red Cross?
It's when we first moved up from Cape Girardeau. And back in 1986, we were living in a home just off Clark Street. We were renting it. Part of the deal was that we could stay there with the agreement that we fix some plumbing. And what happened was, it was in the middle of July. It was incredibly hot. And we were working on the plumbing. At that time, there was a tornado back home in Cape. And we went down to a gas station to make a phone call and back home to see what was going on. And we came back. Like I said, it was warm. There was this little cow trough in the back of the house that we got in and to cool off. Well, all of a sudden we heard this loud crash in the house. We went running in and come to find out we had left the water on upstairs while we were working on the plumbing. What flooded the top of the house, the ceiling crashed, and it was a disaster. So we ended up cleaning up the kitchen. Well, about 10 o'clock, all of a sudden sparks started flying out of the kitchen. Well, my dad went into the kitchen trying to bat this fire out. My mother, sister, and I went running outside. This is before cell phones, to try to get help. Ended up getting the fire department in and take care of us and all that. And we couldn't stay in the home, that night. Well, come to find out, we ended up staying at the old Super 8 right there off Stadium, and it was the Red Cross that took care of us. And I never will forget that because we were in that house for a month, and there was no air conditioning. Half the windows were sealed shut. There was no phone, no refrigerator, anything like that. So it was really difficult living. I never will forget this. We went into that Super 8, and my mother was laying on the couch in air conditioning, just relieved. I will never forget the relief on her and the fact that we were taken care of. Well, in 2004, Melissa Friel, the previous executive director for the Red Cross, asked me to be on the board. Well, I told my mother about this, and is it something I should do? And she said, when much is given, much is expected. And she reminded me of the story of the Red Cross taking care of us that night, in 1986, and putting us up in the Super 8 and taking care of us. And so I felt an obligation to be on the board and commit myself to the Red Cross. And that little boy, I will never forget, myself as that little boy, and that sense of comfort of seeing my mom at ease and at comfort. And that's been a goal of mine over the last 6 or 7 years of being with the Red Cross, is to provide those services to those families, in their time of need. So that's been a real motivational factor of belonging to the Red Cross.
Well, it's a great story, not necessarily the fire, but that the Red Cross helped.
Yes.
Could you tell me some of the other programs? What exactly do we do at the Red Cross?
Well, for instance, what they did for us that night was disaster relief. When there's a fire or when there's a flood, a lot of the tornadoes that have gone on, the flooding's gone on, we service that. So that's something the Red Cross does. We also do service to arm delivery. So for instance, if you have a loved one in the military, we act as a conduit to connect your family with that service member. We also do blood services, which is one of our more well-known segments of our organization. But the other thing we do is life-saving skills. We teach CPR, we teach babysitting skills, we teach first aid and awareness. And so there's a lot different segments of our business that we do to service our clients.
So when people think of Red Cross as big disasters like Haiti, or what's going on in the South, or they think of us as blood, there are so many different things that we do.
Absolutely.
In between.
We're very involved in the local. I mean, if you have a fire in, or if you have someone has a heart attack, or you have a lifeguard on duty at one of the public pools, we service that. That's stuff that we do that type of training at a very local level.
Right. So how exactly do we does the Red Cross raise money for local?
We're completely funded through volunteers. A donor is giving us money to help service these needs. So for example, if there's a fire or if there's a CPR training, all the funds that go towards providing those services are 100% donor-based. So we are deeply dependent on the community support for helping us support the needs of the community through their donations.
Does the Red Cross get funding from the government?
No, we're completely 100% donor-based. So we're deeply reliant on community support through donations, not just through donations, but through volunteers. We're predominantly a volunteer organization with a small staff, so we're very dependent on the community support, both financially and through volunteer time.
Right. So as a board member, what responsibility do you take on to help raise funds for the local community?
Part of our job is advocacy, of reaching out to the community, local businesses, community leaders. You know, one of the things over the last 5 to 6 years with my predecessor, Jim Smith, as the board chairman, is we've worked very hard to be strategic in terms of placing folks on the board that can act as a conduit into certain segments. So for instance, like I said, service to armed delivery was one of our segments, one of our business segments. So we've reached out to the military and folks like National Guard to represent them on our board, to be that link. We've also reached out to the fire department. They're a very important piece of our business in terms of communication and knowing when disasters happen or knowing when fires occur. So we've reached out to the fire department, the police department. We've also reached out to banks, insurance companies. I mean, folks that have a interest in what we do.
Good, good. If there is a fire or a ice storm or something like that, how would one get a hold of the Red Cross?
Well, there's a number of ways that we're communicated with in terms of a disaster. So for instance, there's emergency service centers that can connect with us. That if there's a flood or a tornado, there's communication in regards to that. Fire departments, like I said, we've really worked hard on trying to build relationships with the various fire departments within our 21 county area that we service, and building those relationships, they communicate with us, and then we're able to offer our services through them. Also, we have clients that just flat call us and express, you know, I had this disaster or I had this fire, can you help me out in my time of need? And we do that. I mean, we drop everything and help respond to that particular person's need at that moment.
And the role of the Red Cross when we meet that immediate need, what exactly do we give them? We give them
a card, you know, for them to be able to go to buy basic clothes. You know, some of these folks lose everything, you know, and a lot of times they don't have insurance. I mean, it's amazing the amount of fires that we deal with, and they don't have insurance or have that safety net. Exactly. So we become that safety net. So we give them a card, whether it be at Walmart, to buy basic materials for their toothbrush, underwear, things of that nature. But then we also put them up, you know, in a hotel that we have agreements with around town or in the various areas that we service to help them have shelter while they try to recover.
Good. How would you say, if someone's thinking about being a volunteer, what would you say to them if they came in and wanted to volunteer with us?
Well, first off, the volunteering for the Red Cross is not like just coming in one day and I'm going to volunteer for an hour or two. I mean, I am so inspired. We have about 350 volunteers, and I'm incredibly inspired by the intensity and the passion that folks that volunteer for the Red Cross has. Because we put them in some intense situations, whether it be September 11, Katrina, the flooding that's occurring, you know, our tornadoes that have happened around here, to even the very local areas that there's a fire, you know, just some intense situations. And so there's training that goes involved with this, whether you are doing casework, you know, and how to handle casework, how to handle psychological issues, both for yourself and for the client. We also have an emergency response vehicle, we call it the ERV, that we have to do training on. So, you know, for example, if there's a flooding down in the boot hill, we have to have someone that's trained on how to use that ERV to take it down there, to set it up, to you know, offer the services through that. That takes training, that takes time. So there's a lot of training that goes involved with being a volunteer. You know, we just don't throw you out there and say good luck. I mean, there's a lot of steps that we take to prepare you for the situations that you're going to come across.
And in our 21 counties, we have 2 emergency response vehicles,
yes,
or ERVs as we call them, and currently one of them is in the Boot Hill.
That's right.
Working with the flooding down there. So we also have about 18 of our volunteers deployed across the country. Can you talk about deployment? Have you ever been deployed? Is something that you look to do?
It's something I look, as I become older, and I have a little 2.5-year-old. So the idea of me being deployed in the Boot Hill, that's where I'm from, down close to there. And so, but to go down into Mississippi and places like that's more challenging for me at my time.
Right.
And that's why I get involved on the board, and that's my way of giving back. In terms of trying to reach out to local community leaders. That's the way I give back. There's other folks that have the means and the time to be able to do that. And that's the neat thing about the Red Cross is that no matter where you're at with your life, you have the ability to volunteer under some sort of capacity. And so that's been terrific for me in regards to how I'm able to give back versus someone that might be retired. I just talked to a lady this morning she's a teacher. And she's got 8 more days left of school, and she's retiring. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And she said, well, I want to volunteer. And I'm like, so I start talking about the Red Cross and about what we do. And so hopefully, that's something that comes along. But she's an amazing woman that wants to give back, and the Red Cross will offer her an opportunity for that in whatever area that she wants to go into.
So you don't necessarily have to go into the disaster
No.
area, but you can serve on the board like you do, or
Service storm delivery. She's a teacher, so I told her, I said, we were talking about, going to these disasters. She said, I don't think I can handle that. And the service storm delivery, while that's a wonderful and very important segment of our business, she said, I think I would cry, So I'm like, okay, because it's emotional, It's just,
Absolutely.
But she said, but I said, well, you're a teacher. We do CPR training. We do life-saving. We teach people life-saving skills, and so maybe that's the way that you could offer your services through teaching, in our health area that we offer. So there's areas that she can fit with her skill set that segment A, B, and C might not be for her, but segment D is for her, and that way she's able to give back to the Red Cross. And we need folks like that. We need great teachers. We've got a guy on the board, C. Matt Freeman, who is a terrific teacher. He's a trainer, and he's the one that taught me CPR. And that is his calling. He's a great teacher and a great trainer, and that's the kind of people that we need to help teach us life-saving skills.
So you have, as a board member, you have had CPR training.
Yes. Well, and I think that's, if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And we have, as a board, we've been very committed to being part of. If we're going to ask folks or ask businesses to be part of our organization, then we should also ask them to, we say, I am CPR certified. I am trained in life-saving skills. I think that's extremely important as an organization, as part of the leaders of our organization. Is that if we're going to talk the talk, we've got to walk the walk.
Exactly. So can you tell me how businesses could be involved, maybe with CPR training?
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, we have an aging population. If folks are working longer, there's so therefore a greater risk of life-saving skills, heart attacks, strokes, things of that nature. And how you respond within the first 30 seconds of that person's heart attack or stroke can literally mean the difference between life and death. And so, as businesses, we have a responsibility to have folks trained in those areas to respond to an employee or a coworker going down with a heart attack or a stroke. And so businesses have a responsibility to work with us, and we have the skill set to train these folks on, life-saving skills. And the other thing is, from a business standpoint, is that, one of the things that we're interested in, not just, like I said, not just on the life-saving side, but on the disaster side. Disasters happen every day. How do these small businesses in southeast Missouri and throughout the South recover from a flood? What have they put in place in terms of continuing their operation, through a natural disaster? And the Red Cross, through Anheuser-Busch, has funded this out of St. Louis. And St. Louis, the chapter there, was instrumental in getting this program off. But we have a world-class program now that businesses, free of charge, can access and work with the Red Cross as a consultant to make sure that they are ready in time of disaster. In order to keep their operation running. And that doesn't mean you have to be a Fortune 500 company down to a mom and pop shop. We offer it for every segment of whether you are a mom and pop shop or a Fortune 500 company.
And that program is called Ready Rating.
Ready, yes.
And
Yep.
we just had the national kickoff in Washington, D.C.
That's right. Yep.
And so you go online.
You go online, and there's a Ready readyready.org, and you log into it, and there's a series of steps, of procedures that you can follow, that you can, you reach out to the Red Cross. They act as consultants with that business, and then and there's a series of parameters and specific sets that you have to accomplish in order to have the certification. And then they come back and they say, okay, these were the recommendations. What have you put in place? How have you put in place? And there's follow-up with that.
Okay, great. We're now going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Day of Heroes.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
2 o'clock. Okay.
Your employees who serve in the National Guard and Reserve may seem different. They may work a little harder, be more confident, more willing to make the extra effort to get the job done right. So when your employees need time off to serve, remember, it's not just good for our country, it's good for your business.
Glad you could all make it.
A new day is dawning for regional Girl Scouts as 5 councils come together to form the Girl Scouts of the Missouri Heartland. The new council serves girls in 68 counties of Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma, from the Boot Heel to Mid-Missouri, and from Springfield and Joplin areas to Northeast Oklahoma and Southeast Kansas. Girl Scouts of the Missouri Heartland brings new opportunities to girls while maintaining the mission of building girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place.
For more information, call 1-877-312-4764.
Welcome back to Meet the Red Cross, and today we have Gabe Hulsey, our board president, and now we're going to talk about an event that's coming up on June 8th. It's called Day of Heroes. Gabe, can you tell me how long Day of Heroes has taken place?
This is the 9th year of Day of Heroes, and it's a terrific event. It's an opportunity for us to recognize folks that might not have a relationship with the Red Cross, but has performed in some form to the mission of the Red Cross, that idea of alleviating human suffering. And it's a terrific opportunity for us as an organization to reach out to the community, and number one, to say thank you for your support, for what you've done, for what the community's done for the Red Cross. But then conversely, it is a fundraiser, and it's a chance, like I said before, it's a chance for us to raise funds in order to offer our services to the community.
So with this history of Day of Heroes, exactly how many heroes and what are the categories? Who do we honor?
We honor local folks, and there's 9 categories. And for instance, the Maryland DeFeo Good Samaritan Award, there's the Public Safety Hero Award, the Youth Hero Award, the Blood Donor, our volunteer hero, the Military Hero, the Business Hero, the First Lady of Missouri Hero, and the Red Cross Volunteer of the Year. And so those are awesome, because some of those folks have absolutely no relationship with the Red Cross, but they still have stepped up above and beyond the call of duty and offered and lived out the mission of what the Red Cross is. And so it's an opportunity for us to say thank you and to recognize them. And one of the ways we're recognizing them, of course, is with a plaque and recognition. But we've also got a proclamation from the Senate that each award recipient will receive.
Right. So it's really a day of feeling good about what we do in our community.
Yes, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of fine folks that are truly heroes. You know, in some ways that word can be overused. I mean, this person's a hero or that person's a hero. But when you get right down to it, and we're recognizing these folks that have, like I said, stepped up in whatever capacity, whether it be in the business world, or as a military hero, or as a volunteer for the Red Cross, or lived in someone like Maryland DeFeo, who is just an absolute saint, and lived out that kind of life. Those are folks that we can recognize and say thank you, for the commitment and the hard work they're doing for our local area.
So this year, the Day of Heroes, when does that take place?
It's June 8th. It's going to take place at Capitol Plaza Hotel. The time is from 11:30 to 1, and it's a luncheon. And like I said, it's a 2-prong event. It's a recognition of these fine folks, and then the second part of it, of course, is the lunch and the fundraising that goes along with that. So.
And how could one business, for instance, how could they be involved in Day of Heroes?
Through sponsorship. That's a huge, and that's really how we raise. There's a number of ways that we raise money for this event. Number one is ticket sales. The second possibility of raising funds is through sponsorship, whether it be a table sponsor or whether it be an event sponsor, or whether it be an award sponsor. And so there's, if a business wants to, in some way sponsor or buy a table, that they'd be a table sponsor, and that's one way that businesses can get involved.
So what would you say to businesses if we're still trying to get sponsorship, which we are? What would you say is a good reason to be a part of this event?
Well, like I said, these are it's an opportunity for us to recognize folks in the community that are leaders in the community and that have gone above and beyond the normal call of duty. And so it's a great opportunity for businesses to attach their names to a very, very well-respected organization, the Red Cross, and at the same time, tell these folks thank you that have contributed to our community. And the way they do that is, they call the chapter 635-1132, and just ask for the type of sponsorship that best suits their need. Like I said, whether it's a table sponsor, whether it's an award sponsor, or whether it's an event sponsor, there's opportunities for them to contribute and have a sponsorship at whatever levels best suits their needs.
And with the money that is raised, what exactly does the Red Cross use that money for?
That money that's raised through Day of Heroes stays locally. Like I said, we have 21 counties that we represent, and we offer services to in North Central, Central, and South Central Missouri. The money that's raised here, works within the capital area chapter, Jefferson City, Cole County, Callaway County, places like that. And what it does is, if there's a fire, if there's a natural disaster, the money goes towards helping those clients out. And like I said, whether it be through the shelter that we provide for them. The other thing it helps us with is continue to offer first aid classes, CPR classes. It helps us with our outreach to the business community in terms of trying to make sure that people are ready for disaster, that are prepared in life-saving skills. So all that money stays here and helps us offer our services to the local community.
So anyone that wants to know, say they do want to sponsor, but they want to know how did we get those heroes? How did those heroes come to us? What was that process?
Yeah, they are nominated randomly. We handed out brochures throughout the community at various places like Farm Bureau Insurance or here at the office. We had brochures, and so folks would pick those up and they would nominate them and send them in. And so when they send them in, we compile them, and they would be the person that would nominate them for a certain hero, whether it be the public safety or what have you. So then what happens then is that those nominations then are sent to a committee that it's out of the area. They don't know these folks at all. And then that committee then reviews those folks, and then they make their recommendations. And that's how, so there's no bias or no popularity contest or anything of that nature. So it's the work of these folks is really judged, by a nonpartisan committee in order to choose those heroes.
So as the president of the board, what would you say is the best thing about that day? Because you have attended before. Yeah,
well, like I said, this is about my sixth one. It's such a neat deal because, like I remember last year, for example, there were some folks that never had any real relationship with the Red Cross, and it was an opportunity for us to celebrate these folks, celebrate what they do. It's just an amazing event it's a celebration. I think that's there's a key word that I keep going back to. That's it. It's a celebration of folks that have gone above and beyond their normal, daily lives in order really to keep the fabric of our community what it is. I will argue with anybody from here to Timbuktu that we have an incredibly giving community, and I think that this is an opportunity. Some of these folks might not be, the most recognizable or at the center of folks, in the center of everybody, but they're doing such awesome work, and it's an opportunity for us to recognize those folks and tell them thank you, thank you for what you're doing, and not have to be attached to the Red Cross. And I just think that's fantastic. I really love that.
And again, how would one get the office or find out about ticket sales?
Sure. They would call the office, and our number is 635-1132, 635-1132, and just inquire. You know, they can ask for you or anybody in the office, and then they can talk with them about the whether it be sponsorship, whether it be ticket sales, you know, whatever their need is. It's a terrific event. It's grown. You know, we've really developed it into a prime event, and we're very excited about this year again, and continue to elevate the program.
And are you excited about your role in the day?
I always am. You know, it's going to be a ball. So we'll see how it goes. I go up there. It's not even about, you know, that's the cool thing is it's not about me. It's not about the you know, or it's about the heroes. And so I get excited. I get to go up there and just introduce everybody and welcome in and get everybody all fired up and excited about it. And then the cool thing is like I said, in terms of the board that we try to be strategic about, we have key folks that might have an interest in that person or an interest in that particular award that introduces these folks. So there's a real buy-in, whether it be the military hero. For instance, Dave Williams, over the last 3 or 4 years, is a cop here in town. He is recognized and introduced the military hero. And that's very special to his heart. You know, and so that's a neat deal is the folks that get to participate in this get to recognize those folks that are whether in their line of business or friends or what have you, get to introduce and recognize them as well. So it's a neat deal. I mean, I think it's just a wonderful event.
And again, the date is?
June 8th, Thursday, June 8th, from 11:30 to 1 at Capitol Plaza Hotel. It is a lunch event, and it's a recognition event. So we really implore the whole community to join us for this day of celebration and this day of heroes.
Great. Appreciate having you.
Thank you. This is
today,
fun.
And it was fun, and you know, because we know each other, it was even more fun.
Amen.
So I want to thank everyone for watching our first Meet the Red Cross, and we will be doing this on a monthly basis, and we'll be introducing volunteers and different things about CPR and our business and what we do at the Red Cross. So thank you so much for joining us today.